This is the role-playing game Relic Hunter, and I realize, my fellow hunters, that I never really defined what a role-playing game Relic is. I don't know if Era the Consortium is a relic, but it is certainly a sci-fi role-playing game gem. Today we are talking with Ed Jowett from Shades of Vengeance, creator of Era Consortium and the 18 expansion books he's set up as unlockable goals in his current Kickstarter. The sheer scope and detail of this game can't be covered in one video, but we're only going to do one video, so use your imagination or something. Or buy the game. I guess you could do that. Let's just get started here.
Era the Consortium offers you 500 years of playable history with different situations. You can be a colonist, you can explore space, you can encounter alien races for the first time, you can have political machinations, you can have cyberpunk, you can have survival horror, you can have a Star Wars-esque kind of game where you're the resistance fighting against the government. And you can do all of these things within the same universe, within the same story. So that means that if you want to, for example, play a resistance campaign, then you could hop back in time to an all-out war that the Consortium was having with the Zimians 200 years earlier. I feel that if all of this is sci-fi, and sci-fi fans tend to like all of it, not just one thing. I've not often met a sci-fi fan who says, I only like Star Trek and there's no other sci-fi that... I've very seldom met a sci-fi fan who felt that way. So if that's the case, and you can branch into things like Alien, the horror aspect, and if all of these things are truly linked, and you can really bring them into one story under one rule set, you're offering something. This game, I created it because it's what I want to play and what my group wants to play. We want to have the variation within sci-fi to do whatever we like, but equally we want to do it all within the same rule set without having to learn new rules every time we want to play something. What I've tried to do is build a framework that gives not only an extensive history, but the opportunity to play at any point during that history. This Kickstarter is about expanding the universe of Era the Consortium in a way that I never really imagined would be feasible. The support that we've had from other fans and from people who are coming newly into the game has been so significant that I decided to put something up with huge scope that people could back if they wanted to see it grow that much. And the support we've had has been absolutely phenomenal. We've already unlocked 4 books in total, and we've got so many more to come. We've got plenty of time, 25 days left as of us talking. I'm really looking forward to what's next. I'm able to offer 18 expansions to Era the Consortium, and the only thing I'm charging is the writing costs that are not done by me and the artwork costs, and that's it. That's all I'm charging people. Obviously I have to have a bit of buffer for printing out and such, so I've got to be a little bit careful, but I'm able to give a new expansion every £1,000 or so, which is brilliant. I couldn't be happier. So every single book that I'm offering on this Kickstarter, I'm really excited about. So we were funded inside of 48 hours, which I was absolutely thrilled with. This is the most successful Kickstarter I've ever run now. We've had tremendous support. It's so inspiring to see people excited for Era the Consortium to take the next step.
I've played your Era survival game, and of course we enjoyed that. The kind of the brutal combat. And as I was looking through this one, it looks like I would have no problem picking up the rule set in this game. Can you talk a little bit about what's kind of different system-wise, or are you using kind of all the same rules here?
Okay, so there is a little difference, and I'm actually glad you pointed that out, because maintaining all of the games that I create, working on the Era D10 rule set, is an important part of what I believe should be happening in gaming. You know, I mean, personally, I know there are different rule sets and so on, but I believe that if you're going to try and establish a new rule set, as I am, you know, I'm very realistic about this. It's a new rule set. Most people haven't heard of it before. You've obviously played Era Survival, but many people have not ever come across it before. And if you're going to offer a new rule set, you can't just offer a sci-fi game and leave it at that. You have to have other things that people can play, because there are people who prefer high fantasy or superhero games who, you know, if you only offer a sci-fi game and that's it, that you're never going to quite inspire people in the same way. And that's really what role-playing is about for me. It's about inspiring people to tell stories. The difference really is between the survival horror rules, the ones which are really specifically found in that kind of environment, like the durability, like the lack of ammunition, like sleeping rough, stuff like that, which doesn't usually feature in sci-fi, is really the primary difference. The core mechanic of attribute plus skill is very much maintained. Combat rules are exactly the same. Obviously there's spaceship combat, which didn't exist in Era Survival.
But would have been cool if you had it. That would
Wouldn't have made a lot of sense.
That would have been how you get off that planet.
Yeah. Pity that's not possible.
Right.
In Era the Consortium, obviously there are modular things which are included in the rule set, such as implants.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff that can replace your arm and have extra functionality. Karma doesn't exist in Era the Consortium, it does exist in Era Survival. So there are a few differences, but it's and if you wanted to, you could bring any of those things across, which, as I was saying about Revival, that really proves that. You know, I haven't brought Karma across, but if you wanted to bring Karma into Era the Consortium, it would be totally doable. I have kind of been creating, in inverted commas, games for all of my life, at least as long as I can remember. And what happened was, when I was at Durham University, I was part of the Indoor Gaming Society, and every year they run a 24-hour game. So I became part of the GM team for that game. The previous year they'd run a low fantasy game, so it was decided it was going to be a sci-fi game. Someone put forward the idea that we might do Firefly, but the tradition was always that we did a homebrew. As a group, as a team, we brought in the Big Seven. Well, it was the Big Five at the time, and they got modified later. And we actually ran a 24-hour game with 6 concurrent groups that all had interconnecting storylines that actually led to the same climax as I use in the Era of the Consortium rulebook. So, you know, once we put this together as a group, you know, they were going, okay, well, we really need some alien races. And that's where I pulled up the Ulutians, the Zimians. The Vilithi didn't come till much later. So the 24-hour game was a great success. Everyone loved it. And I left university, I moved into a job, and after a while, I got sick and tired of never playing role-playing games anymore. So, you know, I got a group together, and we ran 5 sessions that were one of the paths through the 24-hour game. And, you know, at the end, you know, they were stunned with the ending, which I'm not going to go into because I don't like spoiling people for it. I think it's a fantastic ending, and most people seem to agree. So they were a bit stunned at the end, but they definitely wanted to play some more. So my brother turned to me and said, Ed, can you write the rules out for me? Because I was running, you know, off what was in my head, basically. Mm-hmm. So I started to write out the rules, and I bounced them off a friend, and the first thing he said was, Ed, publish it. Seriously, do it.
That's a good friend right there.
Yeah, no, I owe him a lot. I certainly wouldn't be here right now talking to you if it weren't for him. John and I sat down and we said, look, how do we present this in a way that's going to work? And that's when we came up with the timeline and short story idea. And from there, you know, we began to put this campaign together that would let you play through the entirety of the history. So when I finally did have the core rulebook, I had a 300-page rulebook, and I'd had to cut stuff because, you've got to be reasonable in terms of length, and people find a 300-page rulebook already intimidating enough.
Right.
Era of the Consortium, the rulebook that people have seen, that they've read, that they've played, that they've enjoyed, I have so much more planned for this universe. I have 18 expansions, but these 18 expansions are all focused in that first 500 years of history. I have another 1,000 years of history planned out that I would love to do.
Oh, that's really cool. So as the players have go through on this journey with you through the 500 years and your increased definition of that time, you're going to have even more for them to go through in the future.
I really hope so, and support's been absolutely fantastic. Every indication is that it should be possible. Yeah, and I find that absolutely thrilling. I cannot wait.
Well, my fellow hunters, I hope I gave you a good reason to check out Era Consortium. Ed is actually a great influence in the world of role-playing games by small companies, and he is definitely worth supporting just for that. He also has made a high-quality game that I think is a lot of fun. Check out the link in the description for the Kickstarter, and check out this other interview with Ed on his game Era Survival. And of course, I wouldn't be a YouTuber if I didn't ask you to hit that subscribe button. Seriously, my sister-in-law's boss knew about my channel. They don't even live in the same state. I mean, that's minor YouTube fame right there for you. Enjoy Era Consortium, and remember to play like the dice are trying to kill you, because they are.